Good morning and welcome to our very short tutorial, number 1, on preparing for your federal OSSI grant applications opening in May of 2023. I'm Mary Adams. I'm the Continuous Improvement Program Supervisor and Grant Manager for the Office of System and School Improvement at OSPI. Joining you here this morning with my colleague, Alyssa Benes, Program Supervisor for Title I Part A and our resident EGMS expert. Just a quick overview of what's in this video. Today, we're going to provide just a quick overview of continuous improvement grants and help you prepare to respond when these opportunities are launched for our federal grants opening in EGMS in mid-May. We'll show you step-by-step how to prepare for your application openings and also direct you to all the resources you might need through this process. OSSI grants are a little different from most grants in that they are targeted for use at the school level. Funds are expressly purposed for the implementation of high leverage activities designed to achieve the priority goals identified in the school improvement plan to improve student learning, graduation, or re-engagement outcomes with a focus on closing opportunity gaps, specifically those that drive identification. Applications, again, will be opening in mid-May 2023. All of the OSSI federally funded grants are going to be available in the Education Grants Management System, or EGMS, and all of the state-funded grants are going to remain available in EDSI grants. Because these are school-level grants, principals and program directors will be given access to their grant applications. And in EDSI grants, this is usually provided by the district data manager. In EGMS, it is provided by the LEA EGMS administrator. So one of the things we're going to demonstrate today is how to provide access to school level users in EGMS. Real quickly, 2023-24 funding, again, is available for schools identified as eligible for Tier 3+ and Tier 3 supports for the WSIF Cycle 2 through state and federal form packages. As you can see, Tier 3+ will all be in EGMS. These are the form package numbers. Tier 3 comprehensive will be split between EGMS and EDS. Tier 3 graduation rate will be split between EGMS and EDS. And the institutional education grants for Tier 3 will also be in EGMS. And then our required action district grants that will be launching in June will be in EDSI grants. To know which grant package you're going to have funding through for 2023-24, there's a full list of eligible schools available on our Continuous Improvement Resources website. It's right at the top of the page, so you can click on that. It is listed alpha by district. You can find out which school and which form package and which grant system your grant will be available to you in 2023-24. So now I'm going to turn it over to Alyssa to show us how to get set up in EGMS to be ready to respond to these grant announcements of the opportunities when they are released.
Thank you, Mary. I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you see the EGMS page?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So the first thing that you'll want to do to get ready for your OSSI grants is to make sure that your school users have access. And the only person, as Mary was sharing, that can give access to EGMS is the LEA EGMS administrator. And if you are not sure who that is, you can go to the OSPI website, search for EGMS, scroll towards the bottom, and where it says contact information, there's a list, the LEA administrator for EGMS. So I am logged into the test server as the test administrator for Darrington School District. And the first thing that you'll do is go to the Home tab, this little house, and then in the left-hand side, and if you don't see it, you might have to click on the plus sign to expand. Under Activities, you click on the organization profile.
Alyssa, I wonder if you can press pause for just a moment.
Sure. So this is what the organization profile looks like. And the first thing you'll want to take a look at is your maximum users allowed. So we'll be giving some additional users depending on district size to each district, plus a user for every school that will need access to the OSSI grants. And if this number of users is not going to work for your school district, and you know, please be thoughtful about making that decision, because OSPI does pay for licenses. But if that number of users is not going to work, you'll go back to the EGMS webpage, and this Education Grant Management System email, if you click on that, you'll see the egms.support@k12.wa.us, and that is how you can request additional users if you need them. And I can see I'm the administrator, so that means I can add new users, and I'm going to scroll down to where it says contacts. And to add a contact, I click on new. And we'll just put some test information in here. And not all of the fields are required, but you can see which ones are with the red asterisk. And we are going to be Darrington Elementary. And for school users, you need to select primary. And the contact type, we're hoping to add principal, but for right now, you can put program director. And then if this is a school user, meaning you only want for this user to be able to access applications that are specific to their school, right? Otherwise, it's okay for you to set people up as district users who can access any application. But this user, we want to only have access to their school. And you want to start off by clicking on the magnifying glass. And in this example, we can see the school that we want to select here, but if we were in a larger district, and you might have, 40 schools, you can narrow it down, right? And then we'll select Darrington Elementary. Okay, and so once you've filled everything out, you're going to click on Save. And this is an important piece that we need to stress more for all users this year than we did last year, that you want to make sure that you're identifying the programs of interest for each of your contacts, because we'll be streamlining the notifications so that notifications will go to users based on the programs of interest that have been selected. So you want to click on Associate. And you don't want to select too many, because then they'll be getting more notices, but you can select as many as you need to. In this case, the user will be working on the OSSI Continuous School Improvement Grants. And then you click Add. Okay, so once it says it's been added successfully, you can X out. And then here you'll see the program has been added. And then you want to X out again. Okay, so there we can see the user that we just added. And we have had questions about, does this user have access? So you can see we've added the user to our table of contacts, but do you see where it says is user and there's an X? That means that they still don't have access, right? Our only active user here is this person whose status is active, and then they have this check mark. So you want to click on this pink airplane, which will generate a kind of a stock email to your user, and you can type something personalized above, but really the key is this hyperlink, and then you click on send. Okay, so then your user will log into their email, and they will get an email through the EGMS system, and it'll say that they're invited to become an education grants management system user. So the email doesn't come through immediately. It takes a few minutes, but I do believe that it does expire. So you want to make sure that your new users are expecting this email so that they can follow through on setting up their account in a timely manner. And they'll just click on the link in the email, which will take them back into the EGMS system for them to sign off on the non-disclosure agreements. Obviously, after reading all of this very carefully. It's coming, there we go. And they can correct their phone number and some of that information that you entered for them. All right, and then make sure they're not a robot. And then click submit, and that will generate another email, which will allow them to set up their username or that will provide them with their username and allow them to set up their password. So then this is what the second email looks like, where it's going to provide the username, right? And then give a link to set up the password. Now, we're in the test server, which is why we're seeing this Yotmail as the username. But your actual usernames will be the individual's email then the 5-digit district code. So that will probably be, as the LEA administrator, that will be the most common question that you get is, what is my username? So make sure they save this email with their username, but then if they don't have it, it's email the 5-digit district code. So then they'll go ahead and set up their password. And this is pretty generic here, something that people will feel comfortable with. Of course, I can't type and speak. All right, and then they set up their password. And they are logged in. Oh, see, you can see here how it's really small, but it's dot and then those 5 digits. So that's how they get logged in. Now, if they have forgotten their password, there is a forgot password link, so they can manage that on their own. So in addition to making sure you set up all of your school users, at the beginning of the grant cycle, the LEA administrator needs to sign off on the general assurances. And so this is something that you will do every year. And so we'll go back to the start just to make sure everybody remembers how to find it. So you get logged in, you're on the home screen. And click on the home button. And you know what? I am now logged in as the principal of Darrington. So you see how I'm not seeing the I am not seeing the organization profile. So that is why I need to get logged in as the administrator. All right, so now I'm logged in as the administrator for real this time. So this is what it will look like for the administrator. And there's some additional things that we're seeing here. So you go to the home screen, click on the organization profile. And we should see that the user that we just added is now active, right? If they were to say, hey, I didn't get the email, you can send it again. You can send that initial invitation again. So to sign off on the assurances, you go to the tab here. So we're on overview, you move over to where it says assurances. And you're going, so these are on this list, these are the assurances that have already been submitted for other years, okay? So the natural thing is to want to go in there, but that's not what you're going to do, okay? You're going to click on submit general assurances. That's what's going to allow you to submit them again, except for now for this current school year. And you'll have to have the general assurances submitted before any pre-applications can be turned in. And it doesn't have to be the LEA administrator that does this, but you need to make sure that someone does. So you will, for the school year 23-24, you're going to select 2024, right? You're going to scroll down. After reading everything very carefully, you're going to scroll down to the bottom here. And your business manager should have the UEI number. We're signing off on the general assurances. And it does have a sign off for the superintendent. If your superintendent does not have access to EGMS and getting them access just for the purpose of signing off on general assurances doesn't make sense, then you can sign off for them, and I'll show you how to capture their signature. Okay. And so if your superintendent did not log in and sign off themselves, then you can go to these 3 lines here, download the general assurances as a PDF, get your superintendent's signature, and then in this tab right here where it says files, you can upload the assurances with your superintendent's signature. Right, so you just upload it from your, it would be file classification of other. This is also, if your district is required to engage in tribal consultation, this is also where you would upload the affirmation of tribal consultation. You don't have to have that uploaded in order to turn in the general assurances. So make sure you're getting your general assurances done early on so you can get your pre-applications or SAS turned in a timely manner. And then you'll come back to your general assurances before I believe it's a September deadline for tribal consultation, and you'll get that affirmation uploaded here. So those are the 2 major pieces of EGMS functionality that you'll need in order to get ready for the grant cycle. Is there anything else, Mary, that you would like for me to cover before I turn it back over?
No, I don't think so. Those are the 2 tasks so that you and your school level users can see the opportunities when they're released in EGMS. So thank you, Alyssa. That's great. I'm going to share my screen again real quick, and we'll just cover a couple of resources that will also be helpful to district and school level users throughout this process. Hold on just a moment, and I will share my screen. In order to further assist in getting familiar with this new system, we are holding a series of EGMS office hours. This will happen 3 times a week from mid-May, around when the grants are released, through the end of June, and then also weekly all the way through November. So anybody who is needing some assistance around EGMS and the pre-application process, the application process, is welcome to join these office hours. We encourage LEA and school level users to attend. That schedule of events will be emailed out to district and building leaders in the coming weeks, and also posted on our website. Other preparations, other ways to prepare for these applications. For school leaders this year, because we're looking at a new WSIF identification cycle, this is a time, once again, to revisit a comprehensive needs assessment. It's going to help inform the priority goals and the activities of your school improvement plan. So complete that needs assessment. Then complete your 2023-24 SIP. This is going to be a required upload with all of the OSSI continuous improvement grant applications when it comes time to complete your application. It is not required for the pre-applications or the request for SAS. And if you want a copy of your application questions, you can also be looking at those and be filling out fields in preparation for your application. Just send me an email and let me know you'd like to see those questions, and I'll be happy to send it to you. Additionally, on the Continuous Improvement Resources webpage, there are a ton of resources to help with this process. First of all, you can find the 23-24 optional OSPI School Improvement Plan template. This is something that schools across the state have said is a really helpful tool. Your district might have its own template, but if you want to use this one, you certainly can. And this is where you can find it. In addition, there's an implementation guide that provides some really good information and guidance about creating an effective school improvement plan. Also on the website is a lot of guidance around I-grants. So this word will be changed to grants because they're not just I-grants anymore, but we will have a lot of grant guidance available here and being updated in the weeks to come. One thing I want to point out to you is that there is a list of definitions of allowable expenditures for schools and districts that is on this webpage. This will be updated, but it's a great way to decide what kind of fits in each allowable activity category. Those are also available on the website for you to view. What kinds of activities can I use these funds to support? In the definitions document, it's also a list of activities you can't use funds for. So just be aware that those resources are available to you. In addition, there is a whole section on the link to the Comprehensive Needs Assessment Toolkit. This is just a toolkit. It walks you through what's required with a needs assessment and offers just a variety of guiding questions to help you think through that process. There is no template. Districts and schools can do this in the way that they see fit. And final slide, if you have any questions, where to go. If you are having any technical issues or need technical support around EGMS, around accessing it, the system, you can contact EGMS support. If you have questions about the continuous improvement program at OSPI, if you have questions about your grant funding through that program and allowable activities or or your school improvement plans, anything around the supports provided by OSSI, you can contact me. And there's my email and phone number. Feel free to reach out if we can be of any assistance providing clarity around this process, and we'll get you what you need. Thanks so much for joining us today for our instructional tutorial number 1 on getting ready for OSSI Continuous School Improvement Grants. Thank you, Alyssa, for your very helpful direction, and let us know if we can help you in any way.
Thank you, Mary.